So Tomer and Nimrod will be talking about ReDTunnel, exploring internal networks via DNS Rebinding tunnel. And this is a really interesting talk that we really wanted to be in this conference. So this is for you guys. Thank you.
Okay, my name is Tomer Zait. I'm a security researcher at F5 Networks. I'm also a CTF competitor and creator. I'm an open source developer. And that's it. What can I tell about myself? Nimrod?
So my name is Nimrod Levy. I am the CTO and co-founder at Scorpiones. I'm playing with CTF2 and giving back the community with developing open source tools. So today we will talk about the ReDTunnel. First of all, we will explain you how the DNS rebinding works. Note that this presentation was in Black Hat last year and will be in United States also. So, before we will explain you what is the DNS rebinding, we will talk a little bit about the browser restrictions. So, we will talk a little bit about the same origin policy. What is a same origin policy? Same origin policy is a security level that validate your hostname, scheme, and port. And if something on this this part is not correct, is fail, you will block due to same origin policy. And then, if you have, for example, if you have your domain appears in cross header, you not will be blocked. So this example to a domain that you don't appear in the cross header, and you will be blocked. And if you have the same domain, you will approved, and you will get the response on the same origin. By the same origin, you will get the response on the site. So we need to talk a little bit about the DNS. If you can see that you have a DNS response packet that contain the direction to the host, DNS translate names to host in order to direct you the specific code that you need. And you can see that here in the DNS response, you directed to the local host, and you have a 152 TTL time. So how the DNS caching works. When you send a request, the TTL say to your DNS cache server and to how long time you need to store the information that you cached. So you can see that we start initial go to the DNS record and achieve the information. And after that, you can see that in our DNS cache server, we have 140 seconds to be in live. Next then, you can see that we change the IP value to another IP and make a DNS cache request again. And you can see that we have more time for the DNS time. The time to leave is still remain 24 seconds. Time to leave. It's the time that your information will be stored in the DNS cache. We will have a time for questions, so we'll explain it later. When the TTL will be gone, you can see that it's work. Okay, you can see that the DNS cache is empty. When we recall the same domain, we will update the DNS information about our record, and the IP address will be changed to 1337. So let's illustrate the process, and we will explain how it's works. So First of all, we send a request to evil.com domain and get our server IP. When we get the server IP, we will send a GET request that achieve our malicious JavaScript code, and you can see that this code is just call itself every 1 second until the title has been changed. When the title has been changed, the DNS rebinding process will work, because when the DNS will change the IP again and the DNS cache will gone, the others will be changed to 192, 168, 11, and you will get access to this internal host.
Okay, so now we'll talk about what happened before ReDTunnel. So before ReDTunnel, we had the DNS tools process. All DNS tools works almost the same. You needed to gain information about your victim, because if you don't know your victim, you won't know that those automatic scripts will work. Then you needed to scan the internal network. You need to find hosts and ports, and without it, you have nothing. You have just the local host. Now you need to choose a specific payload, a JavaScript file that will attack the web application, but it's a specific JavaScript file that attacks specific web application. You can change it. You have only one way to win, just with this JavaScript file and just if it worked correctly. So what is the disadvantages? Sorry, disadvantages. Thank you. Yeah. So we need the information about the victim assets. It's hard to get. We need to configure the application, the DNS rebinding tool, but it's hard or it's not available. Just there's no configuration, you can configure it. Now we have the scanners. So the scanners are mostly slow because they use only timeout attacks, and they're inaccurate because they use only timeout attacks, because timeout is inaccurate. And there's no victim management. We need to manage the victims. We need to know where the victims are and their assets. We need to use the victims' web applications, and you just can't. So the payloads are limited, as I said. The payloads use only one web application, and one web application is not what we want. We want it to be, what? Okay. Okay, I thought something going to blow. Okay. So after ReDTunnel, I will say what ReDTunnel do, the process of ReDTunnel. So ReDTunnel will get the internal IP address for you. Oh, romantic. Okay. It will scan for the internal hosts. It will scan for open HTTP ports. So if you have internal hosts, it's not enough. You want to know that the hosts behind it has HTTP ports with HTTP applications. So it will scan for it automatically. It will bypass browser limitations, because we had so many problems with browsers, and Chrome is the best with problems. And it will bypass those limitations for you, because we done the work for you. It will automate the DNS rebinding process, and that's what you want. It's a DNS rebinding tool. Now it will tunnel through the victims to the internal network, but not automatically. You will be able to just surf the web like you surf any other web application. You just google.com or any other web application. And you will be able to manage all the victims in one single page. You will see the GUI, it's great. Thanks, Dima. So ReDTunnel architecture. This is how ReDTunnel looks like. We have the core application. The core application is actually the management and the victim side, and the client side that attack the victim. So we have the client browser. Behind the client browser, we have a network with many servers and desktops. And we know that the client browser, the client actually click the link, and this link contains the ReDTunnel exploit. It's not a real exploit, it just uses the browser capabilities, but exploit them. And he surfed the web with our solitaire game, and he likes to play solitaire, he have fun playing solitaire, but now ReDTunnel is trying to get the internal IP address, scanning the host, scanning the ports, rebinding all the ports and the hosts to different domains. And actually how it works, when it started scanning, when we found the ports, we create an iframe, and this iframe tells the DNS server, oh, someone opened this, this URL. And we have specific URLs that will tell the DNS to change the IP address. And our JavaScript code will do the same as you saw in the DNS rebinding process. But the difference is, now the victim, he's the server by itself. The attacker can send commands to the victim. It's not a real command, it's just surfing URLs from the management, and he can get all the information and actually surf the web applications from its own computer in home. It's like you had an internal network, but you just put it in DMZ without asking anybody. As you'll see it, it's nice. So, of course, it's an open source software because we are open source developers, so you can download the source. And now I will pray for the demo gods, and I will try to make this demo works. I will just open the mic. Let's see if it works. 1, 2. Okay. So now we will see the web application. This is the attacker. The attacker has an admin control, a commanded control. Okay, you can see it. So I will just set it to duplicate. Let me do it for 1 second. I know. Okay, don't worry. Now you can see it. Okay, you can see it. Okay, great. So this is the admin panel. You can manage all the victims here. Here's the targets, and here's the configuration. It's a really simple configuration. You can just set the timeout, set the pool size, set you want it to be a loopback only, or you want it to shuffle the IP addresses, do as you want. You can add ports to the scanner. Just have fun with it. Now, when we saw the panel, let's see the tool. So here is the web application. I will just...
Semi-dark mode. Semi-dark mode.
Dark mode, איפה? Okay. What happened? Okay. זה נראה כאילו זה עובד. I can see the browser. Okay, let's see if it works somehow. I will just start thinking, okay, it works. So I open Solitaire, and now the client think he playing Solitaire. Now, why I choose Solitaire, I will tell you while it's scanning. I chose Solitaire because I can't lose with solitaire. If I chose Pac-Man, I could lose here, and everyone made fun of me by losing the game. So that way, I can't lose. It's too slow to lose. And you can see the logs, but I am scanning the ports. And we'll see it here. On the ReDTunnel. So we see someone connected to the ReDTunnel. I see other people trying to connect to ReDTunnel. It's not a good idea, guys. Like, if you want me to see your assets, just ask. So now we scan for the ports. We have all ports here, and we have logging, and it's dark, so you can see it. And now we automated the process of the scanner. So now it's rebinding all the, what is happening here? So now we automated the rebinding process. And we should see it in a few seconds. DNS rebinding could take time. It's not me. Let's see if there's something. No, just one web page. So let's look. It could take time. So between the time that we're waiting that it will work, it will get us all the hosts, and now we get it, so it's okay. So now when we got the hosts, we can just explore those hosts. We can just surf the web pages. So I will click on one host, and you can see every host contains the IP address with dashes, not dots. And we have the port. I hope you can see it. Okay, you can see it. And the ID of the victim. So now, when we want to just explore the application some more, we can just click on authentications with basic authentication. I already clicked it, so I will need to do it from another browser. I should think about it before. So let's go to ReDTunnel. We have the login. And we have the hosts. Now we'll choose this host with Tomcat. And we can click the management tab. You can see the basic authentication popped up. We can just, no. Oh. The dark mode. What am I? Dark Vader? Where I find dark mode now? Let's see. Night light, no. Okay. Where's the dark mode? Okay. The video won't work also. It's the same thing. So we can just use the web application and get a response back. Please help me.
I don't know, I'm trying to figure out
What happened?
the cable.
Let's see if you can see the demo video, maybe. So the video works. Why the video works? Okay, you can see the video. A few demo gods. No, we don't need sound. So the victim surfed the web application. You can see it scanned for the hosts, and now it will scan for the ports, and you can see the ports right there. And now after it scanned for the ports, you will see that it started the rebinding process. I will just get it forward, and you see the rebinding process finished, and we have an internal DNS the domain servers, domain names for every tunneled application. And now we just go to the application and we can surf the application. We can download binary files if you have binary files in this web application. And you can see the IP address as I mentioned earlier. Now we'll go to another web application. Actually, a vulnerable web application, because if it's not vulnerable, what to show it. And now we surf to Apache. We have popped up basic authentication. We can just insert the credentials and get into the web application with the basic authentication. But it's not enough. We'll show you how you can exploit web applications using other methods other than post or get. We will use put. So you can send every method to these web applications, even though all the other tools are limited. We'll just do who am I, because who am I to not do it. So you'll see it work. Now, who am I? And it's magic, I'm without hands. So we send who am I, and now we'll go again to the web application, to the ReDTunnel. We'll choose another victim, or another host. It's the same victim, but other hosts in the internal networks. We can explore this web application. And the nicest thing in ReDTunnel is that you can use your own tools, your own automatic tools, like SQL map or other tools, with ReDTunnel. All you need to do is just saving the session. So you have ReDTunnel session, and without this session, you will not be able to surf those web pages, because we are security people, so it will be secured. So now we copy the request file, we will save it, because we want the session, and it's the easiest thing to do in SQL map. We'll choose a PowerShell, because it's the default, and I didn't have time to click on CMD. And now we use SQL map to search for the users. So we're doing the SQL injection attack through SQL map, through the victim, to its internal network, to a specific host in the internal network. So it sounds hard, but everything is easy with ReDTunnel. So now it's just asking questions, and we'll say no, 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 no. Hell no. I'm running forward. Almost yes. And now we have the users and the password hashes. Let's see, no directory, and that's it. So I want to thank to Dima Belsky for the awesome UI, and to Max Rank for the perfect logo. And now for your questions. We have 10 minutes, almost, maybe a little bit less, but you can ask questions. We know that it happened in the wild with, I think, the servers of the World of Warcraft company, Blizzard. So the Blizzard servers. There was some DNS rebinding attacks in the wild. Yes?
Can you talk a little bit about the protection mechanisms that exist today to protect yourself against
Yes, you have few. The best ones is just to create HTTPS certificates and not allow HTTP. You can also check for the host name. And if you check for the host name, we can just manipulate it in the browser, so it will work. And there's a few ways to protect yourself by disallowing the DNS server to return an internal IP addresses.
Going outside, but the others are listening to the answers to the questions, so please be quiet. Thank you.
But still, I think the best solution is just to use HTTPS.
I have to say something. When you think about the ReDTunnel concept, you should know and understand that is the same concept like a CDN, because if you, for example, open a Facebook in Israel and fly to United States and just refresh the page, the IP will be different and change because CDN give you the nearest, the closest IP address that he have in order to make it fast. So the operation of DNS rebinding, it's very close to the CDN operation. So the only way to close this vulnerability is only to hardening your application and not your network, because it's not a cool way to close internal IPs from domains.
Another question? Yes? Oh, it's a nice question. Okay, we have, okay. So he asked how the communication works between the client to the server, because the clients need to be a server, and the server returns the web page like anything is. It's like it's a regular web application. So we used WebSocket, and by using WebSocket, you actually connect to the server, but you have a push request. So we can send push to the application. Now, the thing about Node.js, and it's really good for this example, is that you can just take the response object, store it in another dictionary, and use it later, like it's an object that's still in the memory. So we could store it in a global object and then use it when we call the web page. So when we call the web page, we wait for the response, but the response will be achieved by getting the information we needed from the WebSocket connection. And the WebSocket connection will just send the response with all the headers and the information we need. We created some techniques to make the browser understand that redirection occurred using JavaScript. But without it, it's just how it works. It was good enough for an answer. I know it's hard to understand it, but okay. Another question? So thank you.